Good day. My name is Ropa, and welcome to Beyond the Role Leadership Unboxed. Thank you so much to our listeners who've been engaging with this content and who have been commenting and all the feedback that you've been sending. I really, really appreciate it. And today I am joined by Josh Fogarty. Um, he's also my mentor. You know, I'm not stingy, so whenever I find people who have things to share, I try to then bring them so that we can share together the knowledge and the different insights that they have. So, Josh, thank you for agreeing to do this and welcome to Beyond the Role Leadership Unboxed.
Thanks for having me, and I'm so excited to get to talk to you and basically broadcast some of our normal conversations that you and I have.
Finally, we get to broadcast it.
Exactly.
Taking it out of the group chat. Yes. So starting off, how would you want anyone to introduce you? If someone is to introduce you, how would you want them to introduce you?
I would love to be introduced as a passionate, innovative person. If I look at everything I do, both at work, extracurricular, volunteer with friends, it's the passion and innovation that always shines the most about me.
Passion and innovation.
Yes.
That's key. So what role are you currently in?
Currently, I am the director of IT at Johnson Johnson in our MedTech division, responsible for evidence management. And I do air quotes because I'm responsible for a whole bunch of different systems and capabilities. But at the end of the day, myself and my team are responsible for the systems that help collect the data around our products,
Mhm.
which can get them to market and approved by people like the FDA and those types of things. And what excites me about my job is the more I can do to digitize and automate and make the experience of our business partners better, the faster we can get life-saving and life-altering products to our patients. So
Yes.
I can actually see a direct correlation between my work
Mm,
and helping people live, which is a really inspiring and motivating factor of why I go to work every day.
Just to then see people leave. That's quite profound.
Yeah.
Um, if one of your colleagues is to describe you, how would they describe you? Say in 3 words.
So this one was fun because I've actually been thinking about this question for a while. And then in prep for this conversation, I actually pinged a whole bunch of my colleagues and started to get the answers from them because I'm horrible at self-reflection. So the two themes that came back, I have 6 words, not three, so I'm going to break the mold. Um, One of them said energetic, brilliant, and inspiring.
Hmm.
And then the other one came back and said collaborative, empowering, and innovative.
Hmm. I think I've experienced all the 6 words. And
But isn't it weird to think like you don't normally think of what those three things are? And then it's really um, insightful to ask people to get their perspectives on what that is. And I've actually had the other question that's similar to this that I always find fun to ask, hard to answer, and even harder in an interview
yeah.
is how would you describe your leadership style?
Oh yeah.
And most of us don't have an answer to that because it's kind of this intrinsic subconscious thing.
Mm,
Um, and I've found it really empowering to ask my team members what they perceive as my leadership style because
yeah.
it's helped me reflect and either confirm some things like, "Ooh, cool, that is how I want to be known as a leader," or,
Mm,
"Oop, nope, that's not how I want to be known. That's a skill or a trait or a habit that I need to change."
yeah. Yeah. Feedback is very important. it's something that I thrive on a lot. Um, because there's this thing, you think of yourself as something, and then when you hear people talk about you, you're like, am I really like that? So getting to have those conversations with colleagues to say, what do you think about, how would you describe me? It's quite insightful in also like aligning to what you think you are and what you exactly are. I also hope that today our listeners during these conversations, they're going to experience these 6 words.
Hopefully they will. Let's see. Let's see if we get it all six.
Yes. What inspired you to pursue the career that you're currently in IT?
So my career journey has been interesting, and I'm going to take it all the way back to childhood.
Yeah.
Um, and my career journey is interesting because I am doing what I always wanted to do when I grew up. My path from high school to college to all my extracurriculars to what I'm doing now, it is what I wanted to be doing since I was 10 years old. And so, what is that? I've always been a tinkerer and tinkering with things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, One of my mother's favorite stories is I would basically take apart the vacuum and reassemble it when I was 8 years old because that was just the weird thing that Josh liked doing when he was young.
Yeah.
But I think that's an indication of my personality and my the way I think,
Mm-hmm.
because that's carried through everything.
Mm-hmm.
I thrive on digital, but I also thrive on people and process and business and change.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to blend both those worlds together.
Mm-hmm.
So what that has meant for me in in training and in college is I studied management information systems.
Yeah.
So half computer science, half business and business process. And then fast forward to my job now, I am product management, which means I'm sitting with the business to understand what they do, and
Yeah.
I'm working on bringing them technology to do their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been this, there was no one inspiration point, but
Mm-hmm.
it's been this kind of subconscious character of mine that has continued um, through my whole life and now my career.
That's interesting. And the tinkering just doesn't end with you with work, because you're also like stretching outside of work and mentoring people like me. And also availing yourself to conversations like this. So the tinkering continues along the journey. Thank you for sharing that. What are the biggest challenges that you are currently facing in your career now, and how are you tackling it, if any?
My the biggest challenge is people. People is the biggest challenge that I face day in and day out in many different ways.
Mm,
Um, so first off, my job is to build systems and
yeah.
to build software.
Mm,
And as the nerd in me, I would love to go hide in a corner all day and just build software all day.
yeah.
But that doesn't, building software doesn't do anything. You need people using your software to get value and to drive change.
Mm,
But just because you give someone a piece of software doesn't mean they're going to use it unless they're either forced to do it or they're incentivized or find value in using that tool. So
mm,
there's a whole psychological element of my job that I had never predicted
yeah.
that I a lot of the tools that myself and the team build are back office tools. They're not tools that our customers use. They're tools that are used to run our business,
Mm,
which means it's not an Amazon-like experience, but people have to use those tools. And now I have to sit there and try to convince them to use those tools. And it's now even getting um, accelerated and and highlighted with AI.
Yeah.
Because so much of AI and Gen AI and ChatGPT is, if you as a person want to lean in to that new digitization,
Mm.
especially because that domain is moving so quickly.
Yeah.
So, like you and I, we love it. We live on it. We use it all the time. It's part of, and we've just leaned in. We are the easy people to change.
Yeah.
But how many of your friends, relative, nieces, nephews, uncles, grandparents, managers that you worked with when you're interning are like, no, I don't want to touch it. It's going to take my job, or I don't trust it.
Mm.
Um, but in my job, if I want to get efficiency and value, we need to use those types of technologies.
Yeah.
So it's this whole people part in getting people to change and realize the value of what I'm trying to do.
Mm.
Um, I will say it is such a big challenge, and it's not even right now. This has been a challenge for years. It's just really being highlighted now.
Mm.
It's such a challenge that if I went back for another degree, it wouldn't be in computers, it wouldn't be in software, it wouldn't be in AI, it would be in psychology. Because it's really easy to build the tools now. I can vibe code an application in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get people to then use that tool.
That too. Yeah. So I think this is one theme that keeps recurring with all the guests that I have heard, in terms of the human-centered approach. Like it's not just about the tools, it's about the person, it's about the people. And what is it that we should do with the people? How do we navigate around different people in their different levels of acceptance to the changes that are coming, for them to be able to harness change, because yeah, change is quite difficult to adapt to. Some people feel threatened. They'll be like, oh, if I'm going to have this tool, is it going to take over my job? I remember with my previous role, um, I became very unpopular because the time that I joined that company back home, um, that's when they introduced this data collection tool, and people were used to collect data using their papers. So when I joined the company at the same time with the application being availed, people thought she brought in the application and she wants us to lose our jobs. But it was not that. It was just to ease lives and to ease processes and to ensure that there's efficiency. But I think there's then just that misunderstanding as to why is this tool being brought to you and how much of benefit people are going to get from it. So that psychology is really important, as you have mentioned.
And it goes deep. I mean, it
Yeah.
goes in your use case that you just went through there. A
Mm.
lot of that is perception.
It's
They
perception.
didn't know better, so they have presumed that you're the one that brought it in, even though you didn't.
Yes.
Um, and simple how we name things is massive. And and a lot of it goes back to our core elements of being a human.
Yeah.
So there's been some interesting studies by, I can't remember her name, but she was the first head of digital experience at Google.
Mm.
And one of the things she says, and I'm going to super paraphrase this, is the reason why ChatGPT took off so quickly is because of the chat-like experience.
Oh yeah.
So if we go back to the Stone Age, and you and I were in the Stone Age,
Mhm.
our commonality is chat. It's talking. It's
Yeah.
not iPhones. It's not computers. It's chat.
Mm.
And fast forward, if you think of an infant, what is the first real experiences they start getting? It's chat. It's conversations. It
Mm.
is fundamentally what we're most used to, and
Yeah.
therefore we will run to it first. And
Mm.
so ChatGPT, because it's based around language, people just run to it. Even though we could arguably have had these skills all along, but that experience is what gets them to use it. And
Mm.
so now it has a bunch of us running around thinking, using every tool in the book, from design thinking to UI, UX, whatever, to say, all right, we're on to something. We have to go back to the psychology of what actually makes us thrive as human beings, And that's how we actually now have to design software and experiences
Mm,
in the modern world that we live in.
mm. So simplifying things is what I'm picking from this, simplifying them and customizing it to what people are experienced to or what people are more familiar with.
Yes.
That's quite
Yes.
interesting.
And it's um I believe in your research when you went from paper to the app. Remind me how were they collecting the data? Was that text messaging?
So it was like you develop a questionnaire and then you print the different questionnaires for the different number of growers, and then each person, say a person is an average of maybe 80 growers, and they have to then go visit the growers and fill in the papers, and the papers will then be brought to the office, and the office is like one central place. Someone in data capturing department will start capturing that. There's also human error in that transference of from paper to computer. And after that, someone from my department will then go in and try to clean the data, try to transform it, and then analyze it. So that the turnaround for decision making for that was quite long, because you get someone to collect in the fields. They come, they drop off the papers. You now have to clean. You now have to, that was like 2 weeks turnaround time. But now with the application, there was that ability to just collect data in the field on the device, synchronize it back to the office. And that was like a 1 week turnaround in terms of what's happening on the ground, and then making decisions and analyzing the data altogether.
I think there are some key words in what you said though, and why what you did and why it was effective.
Mm.
So one, it was the device.
Yeah.
So in that community, in that culture, I
Mm.
believe, they carry phones around, they don't carry laptops around.
Yeah.
And it's designing towards that experience. Same with connectivity. Maybe you don't have connectivity all the time, so
Yeah.
you need to be able to synchronize. So
Mm.
you have to design with that in mind. And when people forget about that and forget about the human element of what do I need, how do I exist, how do I live, how do I be, you
Mm.
could totally overshoot and give horrible experiences.
Yeah.
So if you had developed a gorgeous iPhone app that only runs on an iPhone 17, no one would use it
No one
because
would.
they wouldn't be able to load it. They wouldn't have the phone to use it. It would be useless. You have to really understand the context and the human element
Mm.
of what we do. And I never realized that interconnectivity of the human machine relationship until I've spent decades now actually implementing software.
Software. Yeah. No, it's quite an interesting it's quite an interesting topic actually. In terms of that shift from what you know to this new thing that can help enhance this thing that you know, and also that can help with data-driven decision making and efficiency. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to have is just efficiency. So th that also brings me to my next question, in terms of data, the relationship between data and intuition. So you have things that you know, and there are things that data tells you. How do you balance between the things that you know and the data, the things that data is presenting itself in? I'm not sure if my question is clear.
I think it is, and I'll run with it a little and spin it on my own like I normally do. Um, it is really easy to say you are a data-driven decision maker.
Mm.
It is really hard to act as a data-driven decision maker because a lot of times you're going to want to trust your gut and override your decision if your gut doesn't match what the data said.
Mm.
And again, going back to our human behavior assets, it's that unconscious bias in things.
Mm.
Data says this, but my unconscious bias says I know something the data doesn't know. The data is not right.
Yeah.
Um, and that concept is so pervasive everywhere we are, unless you're in a really mature state of process, and being. So my corporate analogy is, um, I could have a bunch of data that says this is the amount of work that's going to be coming next year because I have a database of all of the work and all of the renewals that are going to happen over the next 12 months.
Mhm.
I have data, I have pretty dashboards, I know it's accurate because I can analyze it year over year.
Yeah.
I'll go to leaders and they're like, we're data driven. And then they'll be like, well, you say I'm going to have to do 1,200 renewals next year, but I think I'm only going to have to do 800. So that's what I'm going to put down on paper,
Mhm.
which completely defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
And then fast forward 12 months and they actually hit 1,200 and then they're all grumpy why we weren't right. And I'm like, well, you overrode it based on your gut instead of your data. I'll say even the same in personal life. You
Mhm.
and I both know that if we want to go run a marathon or lose weight or be the best at something, it's about collecting data about yourself.
Yes.
So if I'm running, I should know how long was every run, how long did it take, what was my average heart rate. Let me trend that over time. Let me see if there's some patterns, and then I can make improvements amongst myself.
Mhm.
Um, Same with weight loss. Let me count how many calories I'm doing, and make sure that I'm more calories out than in. And when it works really well.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you'll second guess yourself, or you'll stop doing that, and the process breaks,
Mhm.
and then you go out of control.
Go out of control.
And
Mm.
so I it it's a skill that I think we all just need to keep working on, because old habits die hard in terms of trusting your gut.
Yeah.
You do need to a certain extent. If you think the data is wrong, it's worth investigating the data to figure out maybe why. Um, but to be a thriving organization,
Mm.
especially if you look at like Google and Facebook and all that, they are data-driven companies.
Mm.
They only make decisions based on data,
Yeah.
and they've been successful. Look how big Apple is. Look at
Mm.
And so we know it works. We just have to lean in and make sure it works in our personal lives and our work lives.
Mm. So from what I'm picking, it's yes, you have intuition and not ignore it, but at the same time, create that balance between your intuition and what data is saying and lean more towards what data is saying because it's more scientific and evidence-based as opposed to your intuition.
Yes. And if it doesn't match,
Mm.
ask why. Look at how the data is calculating. Is something missing? And maybe you found something.
Yeah.
And then you'll fix it and maybe it's right. Or you'll really look and you'll go, nope, I'm wrong. I'm going to have to trust the data.
Mm. Asking why.
Yeah.
So with the last episodes, there was with Tim, the theme that came out was asking the right questions. And I've also then realized when I sat down is um, I'm a very I'm a very curious minded person. I always like to ask questions. The other reason is all for this podcast. And one thing that I also realized, even in my personal life, is there are certain times where I'm frustrated because I am asking the right questions to the wrong people, or I am asking the right questions, wrong people, wrong questions, right people. And making that balance is quite difficult as well. Like when you brought in the asking why, it's also creating that balance of what is it that you are asking and who are you asking? That's quite profound.
Yes.
Um, so resilience is a word that we hear in several professionals. Um, what does resilience actually mean to you in practice?
When you say the word resilience, I think marathon. And you know I'm a runner, so it should not be a surprise. Um, to me, if you're resilient, you're able to continue pushing through, even though you're maybe in mile 24, and you don't want to finish. And
Mm-hmm.
it's that both mental and physical and emotional health and skills
Mm-hmm.
to get you through that because you can see the finish line and where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think that question of what does resilience mean to you is profound in the current world we live in.
Yeah.
Our world is changing faster than ever.
Yeah.
ChatGPT got more subscribers in, I think, 30 or 90 days than Facebook did in 3 to 5 years. We are moving at an unprecedented pace of change. The world around us changes faster than ever.
Yep.
And to think that we can sprint through things, it's not going to work. You need to change your mindset and build skills for the marathon, build skills for resiliency,
Mm-hmm.
so we can actually see the fruits of our labor and prosper and not burn out
Mm-hmm.
as we go.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a magic bullet to resiliency. I think each person has their own concoction of how they personally build resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it's an area now more than ever that we have to pay attention to and figure out what does it mean to me and how can I improve it? How do I make it a personal development goal to
Mm-hmm.
build resiliency?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Um, what's a common myth or misconception about your career that you wish people understood?
The current misconception about my career is I am, and it's now ingrained in my brain because my boss told me it. I'm known as Mr. R&D. So if you look at specifically my career in the last 14 years in industry, it's been very heavy in the research and development space
Mm-hmm.
of either pharmaceuticals or medical devices,
Mm-hmm.
which is true. I've spent 14 years working supporting different R&D functions.
Yeah.
Um, but as you know, I also have a data background
Yes.
and I teach data warehousing on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy marathons. I enjoy tinkering with IoT devices. There's a lot more things that I do than just R&D.
R&D.
And so one of my personal goals heading into next year is to start to educate people and demystify that to
Yeah.
see that I can do a lot of other things. I may not be an expert in them. Like I'm an expert right now in regulatory and clinical trial management. I've
Mm-hmm.
spent 14 years doing that work. I should be an expert.
Yeah.
I may not be an expert in manufacturing or shipping, but I know enough to be dangerous and I contextually understand what it is
Mm-hmm.
that I can jump in and help solving problems quickly and immediately. Because
Yeah.
going back to the beginning, I'm a problem solver. I'm a tinkerer. It may not be a widget, it may not be a smart device, but I can figure it out and help solve problems.
Mm-hmm. That's insightful. And it's quite a great reflection, like to look at yourself like that, to say, I am not, and also I think it helps to remove you out of the box that people usually put us in, to say, this is it. And at times, like when people say this is it, you then get defined and you are confined in a box, and you then never get that chance or experience to look at yourself in other look at yourself in the different versions of yourself that you can be. So that's quite insightful. Thank you for sharing. That
And
brings,
it and
yeah.
it actually really fuels me, as you can tell, because I think why I've realized that is because I was told no.
I
So
see.
I've been exploring growth opportunities and words that literally people will say are, you're too R&D. This role isn't right for you. This gig isn't right for you. And I'm like, but I know it is. I know I can do it. Um, and much like how we've gotten to know each other, we don't like the words no.
Yes.
So now it's my passion to say, all right, how do I demystify who Josh is? So
Mm.
that way you can see beyond what's on the paper.
Yes.
That is my resume to what I can actually do.
Mm. So now that you've mentioned that, so during the last career fair, there's someone who said, if only people could, I'm referring to me, if only people could see me without the resume, they'll like me there and there. But the paper has something, it puts you in a box, it confines you, it does not at times fully represent who you are because, yeah, of course, more than that. And we didn't take notes easily.
And the world we live in now for careers is very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, the way in which you navigate a career and get a job and get experiences is different now than it was pre-COVID than it was 10 years ago.
Yes.
Um, and you need to take the time to learn the skills and figure out the new way and play the game
Mhm.
of the new way if you want to be successful.
Yeah.
Um, if I've talked to my mother about her job and her career, and
Mhm.
she's at a point where I don't want to touch it because I don't feel like trying to figure out LinkedIn or all that game. And I totally get that. We're in our parts in our careers where we kind of have to figure that out because there's quite a few more years to go before we retire.
Yeah.
And I'm learning things every day.
Mhm.
Um, you know, and I think something you said resonates with me because I know on my resume, the words are and the data there is really strong to what I do.
Yeah.
And that's true. When people see and talk to me, they can see what I'm saying matches what I'm doing on the paper.
Mhm.
But what I've found is my paper, my resume, fails 50% of systems because it's not optimized for all the AI tools that are out there. That I can fix. I can game the system. I can get my score better there. Because going back to the human element again, it's all about getting in front of a person.
It is.
Your paper, your resume cannot explain how you operate as a human.
Mhm.
That only comes out in an interview.
Yeah.
And you and I both succeed much more on that part. So it's about getting the face time so
Mhm.
people can really get to know you and get energized by you. And
Mhm.
so as I'm looking at it now, I have to figure out the game of the tools so I can start talking to people so
Yeah.
they can really learn who the authentic Josh is.
Mhm.
It's also why I think networking and relationship management is a critical skill to build your career.
Yes.
Because a lot of your career and the job growth and opportunities you're going to get are going to be based on who you know.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example there. I posted a job posting this week. It's been up for 4 days now.
Mhm.
Close to 1,000 people have applied.
Yeah.
And
It's
we're leaving it up for another week, which means more people will apply.
nice.
And so my talent recruiter has her tools and she's amazing and will whittle down the pile. Um, and I'll have to start going through it and doing my job of reviewing and calling people to
Mhm.
get a sense of who they are and how they operate. And I'll learn a lot from that first phone call. But
Mhm.
I'll say that list that I'm going to get from her should be about 12 people. Half the list I know because I know they're people I've worked with or mentor or know via other people that I trust
Yeah.
that I told her I need you to shortlist this name and get it on the list because I'm expecting them to be there.
Mhm.
So going in, half the candidate list that I'm going to review for this job, I know because I've either worked for them or I trust people that have recommended them. The other half have come naturally, and
Yeah.
I'll go through the interview process and figure out who's really right. But it
Mhm.
comes back to that human personal element of how do I know you? Who are you? How would you fit culturally with my team to
Yes.
get our jobs done?
Mhm. You bring up a very interesting topic, networking. Um, for the benefit of our listeners, how do people who are maybe early career or mid-career navigate networking without maybe barging into people's inboxes on LinkedIn or harassing them on LinkedIn? Because I think at times we tend to be harassing because probably you send a message and there's no response, and then you keep on pushing, and that maybe at times becomes harassing. How do people I think it's also for both ways, for both the people that we are sending messages or trying to connect to on LinkedIn or in person, as well as the people that are also then responding to us. How do we navigate around that, especially in our early career? Yeah, I think these are two questions.
The, it is.
Mm.
Networking to me is about purpose.
Yeah.
And I believe a lot of the myths around networking and why networking doesn't work
Mm.
is because you're doing it for the wrong purpose.
Yeah.
What I traditionally see, because I mentor all the new college students, new hires, I mentor them all. They all come through my program. They sit near me.
Mm.
Um, I think the purpose of networking is in the a lot of what's ingrained in our heads for the purpose of networking
Mm.
is I want to talk to as many people as I humanly can. My network is about a number. I want to know 1,000 people, 5,000 people. And so, to your LinkedIn example, it's how many people can I jump into their chat?
Mm.
That works, but the outcome isn't what you want. It's a number.
It's
That
enough.
number isn't going to get you any value.
Mm.
To me, the true purpose of networking is to build those relationships.
Yes.
And true networking would be when you have a relationship that is strong enough
Mm.
that if I had a crisis in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. and I would need to build a SWAT team to go solve a critical problem that's going to impact patient and people,
Mm.
I know I'm going to pick up the phone and call John and Jane and Ropa because I know them, I trust them, I know what they can do.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Mm.
That is and that's what you need to get your career and to advance and to get all these opportunities. You need those deep connections and relationships. And so what I teach in my networking class is there's a whole bunch of different types of networking.
Yeah.
And you have to think of networking with purpose and what are you trying to get out of it?
Mm.
And if you're trying to get out of it what we want, which is thought leadership, um, influencing and shaping and career growth and new opportunities, it has to be more about, I'll say, less connections and higher quality connections
Yeah.
versus I know 5,000 people.
Mm. Mm. So it's more about the quality and not necessarily the quantity or the number of people or the number of business cards that you have in your pocket. It's about the quality of those relationships.
Yeah.
So turning it to the people that we are approaching, what advice, because this podcast is for everyone, those are who are mid-career and also those who are well established. Watch. Turning to the people who are well established that we are reaching out to, what advice would you give to them?
What advice would I give to people that are reaching out to folks like myself and other leaders in industry? Um, know my problems.
Mm.
Nothing gets me more motivated than someone who already knows about me when they start talking about me and to me.
Mm.
It means you've done your research and it means you've put effort in to start growing the relationship.
Mm.
Um, and so if you show up saying, Ropa, I hear you're working on trying to build a podcast,
Yeah.
that will gain you and I traction in our conversation.
Yes.
What then builds more trust and more depth in our connection is if I actually help you solve your problems now.
Mm.
So if I say, all right, I know you've been trying to start a podcast,
Mm,
I'm going to help you solve by making sure you schedule your first podcast. That builds trust and depth in our relationship.
mm.
And now we know a lot more about each other. You
Yeah.
know more about how I operate and how I can influence and how I can be a motivator. And
Mm,
I know more about you and your style and your charisma and your character and your passion and your work ethic
mm.
that we would not have gotten if you and I just had sat down and had coffee.
True.
So taking that and putting that effort in to help solve my problems and solve each other's problems really gets us to know each other deeper, and that deeper trust, stronger connection goes back to the previous question of that is what will grow us both more and create more opportunities for both of us.
Mm. So it comes back to that humanness, just then understanding the person.
Yeah. Because again, we as humans, we like to be heard. We want to be, we want to be seen.
We want to be
And
seen.
if you come to me and say, I've done my research and I know your problems, that means you've seen me.
Yes,
Maybe not at my best, but you've seen me. And that carries a lot of weight.
that does. No, thank you for that insight. I hope I trust that it will help someone who is in the process of navigating networking and how to make meaningful relationships with different people on a professional level. Um, my next question will be, I know you believe in mentorship because you're my mentor. Um, who has been your most important mentor, if you have one, and what did you learn from them?
Um, my most important mentor um, would probably be the boss that I just had. Um, she, we've worked together for 7, 8 years now. So we have a lot of track record. And to me, she's been my most important mentor because she's we've we've explored all facets of mentorship. And what do I mean by that? Um, I've helped her with a lot of problems and I've helped challenge her and grow her, vice versa. She's solved a lot of problems for me and has challenged me and grown me.
Mm,
We also trust in each other
yeah.
and we're work buddies, which means we can complain to each other and vent to each other where you probably don't want to be venting to your boss when they're the problem. So they have been my most important mentor.
Mm,
Um, and I don't think I can single out one thing that I've learned.
mm,
I think it's a culmination of things over time in how to manage people and build relationships with people and specifically at J&J, how to get things done and how to get money and how to work the system.
mm,
Um, so it's a myriad of things.
mm,
And I think that's the true element of a mentor is they're broad in scope. You
mm,
don't learn one thing, you're in it for an adventure,
mm,
um, and to actually grow each other and learn from each other.
mm. Yeah, true that. Mentorship is not a destination. It's not just an event. It's a journey where I'm actually learning new things about you today. I'm like,
And that's the great part of a mentorship is you're continually learning.
you're continuously learning. If you were to meet your younger self today, what would you tell them?
I would probably reiterate the quote that I've always grown up, which is tough times don't last, tough people do.
Yeah.
Um, there are trials, tribulations, there are tough times, there's pandemics, but
Yes.
there's outages. But if you are tough in your character and just keep going, you will prevail and you'll keep going. And that's held true for 20 years now. 25 years since I learned that quote.
That's quite a profound quote to say tough times don't last, but tough people do last. It builds on that humanness, on that person. Just connecting to something that has been happening just recently. There's someone who helped me with, there was a project that I was working on, and then they came in, there were complications with it, and I was on the verge of giving up. I was like, you know. And so they kept on encouraging me to keep going. And it was only today when we had a meeting, now that the project is over. She's like, you see, did you die? And I'm like, no.
And you probably learned a lot from that project, right?
Yes, I learned a lot. And she's like, it's only after you have taken a step back, remove yourself from all the chaos that are happening within that project, take yourself out, think about it, and then bring yourself in again. So that's now being tough. Bring yourself back again, and you see it prospering and achieving results. But I was this close to giving up. I'm like, I'm done.
If everything's going simple, yeah, that feels great,
It
but you're
does.
probably not actively slash ferociously learning and developing.
Mm,
We There's a reason why you have butterflies in your stomach when you go on stage to present. It's pushing you out of your comfort zone. It is making you grow new skills, presenting in large audiences. If you don't have those butterflies, that means you're a professional at it.
yeah.
And so I think that relates to so much where you don't realize what you're capable of until you really push yourself and you feel uncomfortable
Mm,
for long to periods of time. And
mm,
that's what really grows us. I think the other way you'll hear about it when you're talking around the water cooler or meeting someone for the first time, we call those war stories.
yeah.
What are those times where it was 10 o'clock at night and we're all on a call together or in a conference room together trying to solve a big problem
Mm,
because something went down or something horrible happened?
yeah.
Well, guess what? We all learned a lot from that, and we learned a bunch about what we're not going to do again in the future. And it was an immense learning moment that
Yeah.
we probably all read about and academically have learned, but we didn't really practice it until we were forced to do it. And now that we've done it, we can actually reuse those skills in the future.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. Speaking of growth, there's growth that also comes with reading books. What book are you currently reading?
Um, I'm actually not really a good reader. It's one of the habits I need to change. I'm a podcast person, but the book, one of the most influential books that I recently read that probably ties to why I want to start reading more, is a book called Building a Second Brain by Tiago Chagas, I want to say. Um, the book is all about how can you improve your work style and take better notes to build a set of knowledge outside of your brain.
Mm,
If we try to remember everything and remember all the books we read and all the things we do and all the things we learn, you'll never be able to recall it all.
yes.
So, with all the tools we have and all the technology, I'm a nerd. How do you leverage those tools to offload some of the information so
Mm,
that way there's space in your brain to think creatively, yet at the same time, when you need to recall that information, it's at your fingertips.
I see.
So if I need to go build a slide deck around networking 101,
Mm,
I don't have it all up here. I don't have to try to pull it out of the back of my head. I know there's bits and pieces from podcasts and books and just aha moments that I've had that I can query and
mm,
pull that out. And in 20 minutes, I can build a slide deck or a flow to go teach networking 101. And
mm,
so that's why I really like that book. I was never a good note taker ever, never even at school. I hate taking notes, but that changed my approach on how I take notes and how I structure. my knowledge management.
Yeah.
And it's really paid off the last 8 months to a year.
Mm. Yeah, note taking is really it's quite impressive. The things that you remember because you just wrote them down. I'm an avid note taker. Like I take notes for everything. I think you have seen with our calls, if you say hi, I'm like, oh, hello. So that I just then, like, if I write it down, I know that like I've actually memorized it and I'm going to remember it. There's a way that I can forget, but it's easily like remembered if I have taken note of it. Thank you for sharing that. I'll look up that book. Um, so beyond the title and beyond the role, what legacy do you hope to leave?
The legacy I hope to leave is experiences.
Yeah.
Um, my purpose and what really drives me is experiences.
Mm,
So it could be experiences with friends and going on trips. It could be experiences of teaching class. It could be experiences at work, what I'm building with my team, or even experiences of the tools I'm using and the patients that are using it. So to me, my legacy is all about creating those experiences, creating those memorable moments,
mm,
because that's what makes me thrive and tick. But I also realize that's what makes others around me thrive and have fun
mm.
and enjoy and learn and grow. Um, and so that's what I hope to be known for is my experiences.
Amazing experiences. What is one lasting change you'd like to create in your field?
One lasting change that I would like to create in my field is ambitious continuous improvement.
Mm,
And I'm going to redefine field first. I'm not just talking healthcare life sciences.
mm,
I'm talking more Fortune 100 large multinational corporations.
mm,
That's the function I'll take, so to speak. Um, it's been really interesting to see in large corporations how slow things are to change.
mm.
The proverbial saying that we use internally is we're like trying to shift the Titanic because we're so big.
Yeah,
Um, and what I've seen and the impression that I want to give is if you build a culture and a team, you can around always challenging yourself to continuously improve, you can turn the ship faster.
sure.
And I think more of our large corporations could do more and make more impact
Mm,
if they had that culture around ruthless continuous improvement.
mm,
It's a good thing. It goes back to that challenge. How do we challenge ourselves? And I want to make sure we're challenging ourselves 24/7
mm,
at work. We're in this marathon of life now and in resiliency.
mm,
Um, and so to get there, you have to really live into that mindset of ruthless continuous improvement.
mm.
Um, it's not let's do continuous improvement this month and then we'll wait the next year.
Yeah. That's so profound. There's something that I've been learning this semester in my marketing class around marketing myopia and how some companies did not thrive or they had like this digital Darwinism where they cannot grow beyond what they had because they focused more um, on the product and not necessarily on the customers or what is happening in the environment. And they were just short-sighted. So that continuous improvement, I think it then comes to curb that short-sightedness because you are learning and you are aware of your surroundings. Then waiting for the next year to do like a continuous improvement assessment then limits you because there are so many things that can happen in a year and there are so many things that were probably low-hanging fruits that companies or organizations or managers could have rode onto, but they missed that train because they were just focusing on probably the wrong things or probably the things that they had projected for the year. So thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. If you can complete this sentence for me, success beyond the role means.
Success beyond the role means being able to help patients more. Um, my role is a back office role.
Mm,
It's all about systems and back office processes.
yes,
So to me, success beyond the role is being able to actually see the work that I've done impact patients.
that's amazing. So it's not just about the tools and the technologies in the back back office. It's seeing it with the end user who is the patient. Thank you. Now we move to the fun segment. This will be a
Yes.
quick one. Um, what's the funniest mistake that you made in your very first job, if you still remember?
Probably the funniest mistake, I guess it's not a mistake, is I talk too loud. And I had a group of work mothers that would work around me and they'd always go, shh, because my voice just carries down the hallway.
Yeah. Can you describe the most surprising thing that happened in your first week, if you remember?
Um, the
I,
most surprising thing was showing up to a job and not getting a computer for a week because I had already worked there. So I started my job and had no email, I had no computer for a week, and it felt like the 1950s because my boss was just printing out papers for me to read and I was sitting there reading them.
if money were no object, what's one thing you would try for a day? One job, I mean, sorry.
Maybe a pilot,
Pilot.
something athletic or something like that. I sit at a desk all day, so it'd be something completely outside my norm.
So if it's a pilot, where do you want to fly to?
Oh, it'd be great to fly to a beach for a day and then fly back. Do a day trip. You get your own bed at night, but you can sit on a beach all day.
That's nice. What's a job that you've always wanted as a kid?
I don't know, because like I said at the start, I'm doing the job I wanted to be doing.
Yes.
So there's really no other job
So
um,
this it's
that I'd want. I think the closest thing that I could think is being the tinker type. I could totally see myself pivoting, and this is the wild pivot from electronics and computers and software to either like being an electrician or an HVAC mechanic, something hands-on.
something.
It's still my tinkering nature, but
Mhm.
it's a complete 180 from sitting at a desk all day.
Yes, it is. If maybe when we're young, were you given chores to do in the house?
Yes.
What's one thing that kept on recurring for you?
I was always told to vacuum because I had I just disassembled and reassembled the vacuum, and B, my OCD means I vacuum very well.
Yes, I wanted to say it's because probably you had taken the parts apart, so they just put them back in vacuum.
Yes. Mom wanted me to test to make sure they worked.
If you could trade any fictional character for a day, who will it be and why?
I'm not good with movies or any of that, so my fictional character would probably be like one of the surgeons or doctors on ER in like one of the emergency room TV series. Um, why would that be? I have always envisioned an alter life where I am a doctor or a surgeon. I work with them all day. It would just be really fun to actually be able to practice medicine.
And then be tinkering with us.
You never know. I may come up with the next medical device for a heart.
Who knows? What's one job that you'd be terrible at?
Um, Tennis. Anything with hand-eye coordination.
Uh,
I'm
no,
not good at that.
no. Would you rather be famous or anonymous in your field?
That one, both.
Both.
I
Uh,
like anonymous because I find when it's anonymous, I can get work done and I can actually do things that otherwise people would try to block. But
mm,
at the same point, there's a lot of neat things that it'd be great to get highlighted and be known for and be known in industry for doing those things.
mm,
So both.
both. Um, would you rather have a perfect memory or be able to see into the future?
I would rather have perfect memory because I think there's more. We all know we should learn from our past, but a lot of the times we don't apply what we learned from the past because we forgot about it. So if I have perfect memory, I could totally understand all of the past, which would prepare me for the future better than seeing into the future.
Future. That's an interesting pivot. Uh, would you rather take a lot of small risks or one big risk in your career?
A lot of small risks.
A lot of small risks. Would you rather lose all your work on your computer or have to listen to the same boring song on repeat for a month?
I would rather lose all the work on my computer because I'm a nerd, which means I have everything backed up to the cloud and then backed off offsite. So sure, take my computer. I'll still get the files back.
You can recreate it.
Disaster recovery.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Thank you so much, Josh. Is there any question that I missed that you wish I had asked you today as we are coming to the close of this?
I don't think there's any questions that I think you missed.
Mm.
But to flip the table on you, and I'm going to ask you a question in closing. Um, as we've been talking and becoming mentors of one another, what was the biggest aha moment that you took away from one of our conversations?
Um, I would say it's the so there was a time when I was preparing for my interview, and then you taught me the STAR method. And now I carry that on a day to day. So whenever I am speaking, I try to put in what's the situation here, what's the task, and what's the action that I have put. Is there a result? Or whenever I'm trying to commit myself to any activity or event, I overthink it like that. Not overthink, I just think it along those lines of what's the situation here? What's the task that's at hand? What's the action? How long is this event going to take me? And what's the result? How beneficial is this? So that's a major for me because I always then forgot the result. I always forgot the result. And in forgetting the result, um, it also had an impact on how I present myself as well. Because at times I'll then just tell either in an interview or in an interaction, I'm just telling you an action that I did and not the end result, and probably then brag about it. So for me, it's the star method. And whenever I'm talking to people, I'm just also then telling them that do you know the star method? You don't? Oh, okay, sit down.
Let me teach you.
What's your thinking process? Okay, sit down. Let's cool you.
Love it. Love it.
Yes. So that's my aha. Mm. So thank you for thank you for putting me on the spotlight.
I can have as much fun with this as you can. So thank you for having me on. I had a blast, and hopefully, your listeners learn a lot from our conversation.
I hope so too. And again, thank you so much for making time and agreeing to do this with me. It's been so much fun. I've been laughing. It's so much fun and so many things to learn. And those six characteristics of yours, they also came out throughout the interview. And I hope that to our listeners, you'll be able to learn one or two things and also maybe resonate with one or two things that we discussed today in this podcast. Once again, thank you, Josh. And to our listeners, thank you so much for your support and you're continuing to listen to this podcast and the growth that is coming with. And this is for us all to grow together and to learn from each other. Leave a comment below. We're looking forward to hear your insights as to how these conversations are going. Once again, thank you and see you in the next one.